Welcome back everybody, this is a beginner tutorial on how you can create your own backgrounds in GB Studio. If you don't know what GB Studio is, it's a drag and drop game engine that lets you create games for the original Game Boy. So the first thing I would recommend anyone doing is reading the documents. As you can see, there's 4 colors which we have to create our background images with. Okay, so when you download GB Studio, this is what the sample project looks like when you open it up. I'm obviously in dark mode, so obviously it'd be lighter for you, so you can change it to dark mode in the settings up here. But as you can see, there is a lot of scenes that all have background art. So in GB Studio, you can't edit the background art or create the backgrounds or the background art specifically. And so you'd have to go into a program like GIMP or Paint or Photoshop to create the backgrounds. And the way you get it into GB Studio, your backgrounds, is you go into the backgrounds folder of this project, and then you can paste in the PNG or JPEG file of the background that you just created. And backgrounds are actually only 4 colors. As you might be able to see up here, there's the green. And it's actually been colored in GB Studio. So if I was to do this, for example, you'd see it's actually coloring it in GB Studio rather than in GIMP or Paint or Photoshop. There's also some size requirements. As you can see, all background images should be divisible by 8 pixels. So that means each width and length needs to be dividable by 8. The minimum size is the minimum screen size of a Game Boy, which is 160 pixels by 144 pixels, which I believe is 20 tiles by 18 tiles. It also has an upper limit of the maximum amount of tiles and pixels you can have in a single image. And it also talks about having unique tiles. As you can see here, 192 unique tiles, which means that even using the smallest background styles, you must repeat about half of your tiles. So what does repeating tiles mean? So I have made an extremely quick tile set here. As you can see, we have 4 colors, obviously one of them being the light color. And then we've also got some grass and some water and some walls. So a repeating tile just means a tile with the exact same image in it. So this is a tile, this is an image. So let's say we use this tile twice in our background image. We're actually only using 1 unique tile for it. This can obviously be done in any art program that uses pixels. So what I'm going to do is create a new document. Then I already have a template set up for myself, but all it is 256 pixels by 256 pixels. So if we press OK and make that, as you can see, we're left with a white page. If we delete that, we can see the pattern. But if we go on show grid, it automatically in GIMP creates a 16 by 16 grid, but we're gonna go down from image into configure grid, and we're gonna add 16 by 16, and we're gonna make the foreground color red. This is because we're using greens, and the red stands out quite a lot. And you can now color pick these colors from gbstudio.dev. As you can see on the right here, there's a little box that we can put our that value we just took from the website in. I think to get this in here, you have to open up the window of colors or something like that. I can imagine it's probably just colors. Yep, it's just called colors. And then we can, obviously, once we've used the colors, they show up on this little palette thing here. And then you need to remember that there is no transparency of the backgrounds in GB Studio. So if you want to be using a tile, you need to fill the tile with stuff. It can't be the 4 colors and transparent. And now, for example, this can be a tile we can use in the game. But obviously, I'm going to use this one because I made this one earlier. And then all you want to do is export this as a PNG or a JPEG, because this is our tile set in which we'll be able to paint down and use and reuse the tiles that we created here. So now I've jumped over into Tiled, which is another free program, and I'm going to click on New Tile Set. I'm then going to click on Browse next to this source here, and I'm going to find that file that I just exported as a PNG or JPEG. Okay, so I've just put in the PNG here, and if it isn't already set to 8 pixels, you should probably set the tile width and height to 8 pixels. And now we can save as, and just save it somewhere you can easily get. And as you can see, it's now opened up what we exactly had in GIMP, but it's now in Tiled. And if we were to update that file, overwrite it, it would also automatically update in here, which is fantastic. So to create an actual background map, we're going to go to New, and we're going to go on New Map, and we're going to make it 20 tiles by 18 tiles, which is the size of the Game Boy screen, if you remember correctly. and we can go save as, and I just called it untitled, I didn't bother with it. But if we zoom down here, and if this isn't open for you, I think you can find it in view and then view and toolbars. It might be in here, it's just a tick box. But as you can see, blank background, and that's not what GB Studio likes, so we need to start painting. So what I'm going to do is just paint down some green, and then we can use this clone tool to then stamp down. And I have made some more advanced tutorials in this, but this is basically how you would create your backgrounds for GB Studio. And then, like I said near the beginning, all you have to do is go File, Export as Image, save it as a PNG or a JPEG, and then bring it into the Backgrounds folder of your GB Studio project. Using this logic, you can create some pretty amazing stuff, and this isn't using very many tiles at all. And by doing this, we're obviously reducing the amount of unique tiles in the scene. And obviously, if we were to actually draw this all by hand and create a really awesome piece of artwork, there might be the chance that it doesn't actually work in GB Studio. You'll need to deliberately duplicate some tiles in order to get the tile count down, to get the unique tile count down, in order to actually let it actually work in GB Studio. If you go beyond the limits, it will actually break and either stop you from building it, or when it does build, it will just look like it's broken. And then the reason normally is because you have too many tiles in the scene. So I can now export this as an image and get it into GB Studio. So I'm back in GB Studio, and if I press on S, or if I click on the plus here and then go to scene, if I click on it and then click on this up here for the background, I think I called it untitled, so I'll type that in, and boom, we now have our scene in GB Studio. So we can now paint down everything we need, try and make some water of some kind. And obviously holding down Shift will make straight lines again. Or you can just drag and paint. And as you can see, we've just brought our GB Studio background to life. And obviously, you would obviously want to add collision, which is this wall icon over here. And again, we can use Shift to draw straight lines. And use the bigger one to draw the bigger squares. And now if we set we click on the background, or like off the background in the dark here, we can set this starting scene to scene 18. We can drag it down here, and we press play. And although that took a minute to build, we can now walk around our own map. How fantastic is that? So I really hope this was useful to beginners in GB Studio. I know that sometimes the documents don't make entire sense unless you actually see it in practice. So I really hope this was valuable. So I'll put my patrons up on screen right now. Thank you very much to you guys. You guys are the best. I'll probably make this tile set available to my patrons. It's just a simple background thing. I obviously showed you exactly how you could make it yourself, but sometimes it's nice to have a little place to start from. And I actually constructed this tile set so that I can actually make the water animate in the future. And I might make a video on that. That might be a nice simple one. And so if you like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.